30th of April, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashavua, Emor. How are you?
Okay, Emor. We're up to Parshas Emor. Parsha of Kohanim. And the whole of Vayikra is concentrated on Kohanim, the Parshas Emor in particular. So Meir, since you're our in-house Kohen.
Okay. Let's do this. Okay, it says, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, Emor el HaKohanim, B'nei Aharon, Yamato Alehem, L'nefesh, Lo Yitama B'amav. So Hashem said to Moshe, say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, and you shall say to them, let's see, L'nefesh, to a person, he will not become pure.
No, he mustn't. No, on the contrary, L'nefesh for a soul. I will translate it literally. For a soul, he must not make himself impure, ba'amov, among his people.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see.
Okay.
Okay, let's translate. Yeah. So it says Rashi.
Okay. So
The
Rashi.
first point is that there's a difficulty in the expression at the beginning of the pasuk. Hashem says to Moshe, Hashem said to Moshe, say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, and you shall say to them. There's a repeat. Say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, you shall say to them, the nefesh lo yitamo b'amav. Okay, this is what Rashi is going to dwell
on. Okay. So it says, Emor el HaKohanim. Emor, Yamarta. Emor is you shall say, I guess. L'hazhir gedolim al hakatanim. Okay, to l'hazhir.
To warn.
Oh, to warn. Okay.
The gedolim means that the adults are warned to take care of their children.
Oh, okay.
So you'll see that the Sifsei Chachomim adds a little note over here that basically the way the pasuk has to be understood as follows: Hashem said to Moshe, "Say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, and this is what you shall tell them." Meaning the Kohanim. This is what you shall tell the Kohanim. V'amartu aleim, you Kohen shall say to them. Who's them? Your children. L'nefesh lo yitamo b'amav. You mustn't make yourself tummy for any soul among his people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So basically what it's saying is that the pasuk telling Moshe, Kosh is telling Moshe, say to Aaron, say to the Kohanim, sons of Aaron, the following: you shall say to them, you Kohanim shall say to your children, you even children are not allowed to become tummy.
Uh-huh.
Right? So therefore, right, the Kohen had to be careful. He couldn't let his child play anywhere.
Right.
You know, they're drawn to garbage heaps and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So a Kohen couldn't let his child be there because garbage heaps are prone to have dead rodents there, or all of these kind of things. So the likelihood of tumor there is much higher. So the Kohen would tell his son, you know, play anywhere, but not near the garbage dump. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. But
Right.
even though the children themselves do not have a prohibition, but the parents have a obligation to make sure that their children do not become Tomei. And by the way, the Torah we're talking about over here is Dafka Tumas Mace, which means that they're not allowed to come in contact with any corpse or anything that will cause them Tumas Mace. Okay? Okay, let's continue the Rashi. Bnei Aaron.
Okay, so it says, let's see, Bnei Aharon. And so the sons of Aaron. Okay. Yachol Halalim. Talmud Lomar HaKohanim.
Okay. So first, initially, the pasuk says, "Say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron." So Rashi's bothered. Why say this double expression? Just say Emor Bnei Aaron, and it's obviously the Kohanim. So Rashi says, "No, Yochol Chalolim." I might think even disqualified Kohen.
Oh.
Even he's a disqualified Kohen, was also forbidden to become Tomei to anyone who likes, right? No, Talmud Lo HaKohanim. Okay, Dafka, if they are qualified to be Kohanim, Dafka, if they're qualified to be Kohanim, then they can do it. Then there's a prohibition upon them to make themselves Tomei. And the idea behind it is because if they're Tomei, they can't do the Avodah.
Right.
But a Kohen Cholo, right, a Kohen who's been profaned, as we'll see about this further in looking further, yeah, a Kohen who's profaned from the Kohuna, he has no issa of making himself Tomei. Okay?
Okay.
Next Rashi.
Okay, Bnei Aharon, Af Ba'alei Mumim B'mashma. Okay, so those who are blemished. Also, who can't perform the avoda, are part of this group. Okay.
That means even if a Kohen is a Baal Mum and he can't do the avodah, nevertheless, because in other words, once we've said what we said before, so why just say Kohanim? Why does the pasuk say Bnei Aaron? Emor la Kohanim. Say to the Kohanim, because it has to be somebody who's ready to be a Kohen. So it says Rashi, no, but if I just said Kohanim, I would have thought Dafka Kohanim are kosher, qualified to do the avodah.
Right.
Baal Mum, who cannot do the avodah, I might think he's allowed to become Tomei. So Rashi says no, but Bnei Aaron means even Baalei Mumim b'mashma. Okay, so even though they don't have a fully fledged name of being a Kohen because they can't do the avodah because they're Baal Mum, but nevertheless they do come under the category of Kohanim as far as this is concerned. That a Baal Mum means a Kohen who has a blemish cannot become Tomei except for his immediate relatives. But Midastam, he can't become Tomei. Okay? Now the thing, Bnei Aaron.
Okay, it says below Benot Aaron, but not the daughters of Aaron. Okay. I guess, does Bnei in general just mean children, not just sons?
It depends on the context.
Okay.
So here Rashi says, the Ma'aseh which Chazal say, that women have no limitation as far as becoming Tomei are concerned. The daughter of a Kohen is allowed to make herself Tomei.
Oh, they are allowed to. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, she's got no, for instance, if there's going to visit a hospital, visit somebody in hospital, often there's a problem of if unfortunately if there's a deceased person in the morgue, right?
Uh-huh.
So there's a problem for a Kohen to enter. I think that's why in certain hospitals it says there, you know, they have a sign up: are Kohanim allowed to enter or Kohanim not allowed to enter?
Uh-huh.
Okay, but that only applies to male Kohanim. Female Kohanim, they've got no prohibition. The question arises when, well, actually, it's more appropriate when the wife of a Kohen gives birth, right? So
Okay.
as far as she's concerned, there's no problem. But what
Right.
happens if she gives birth to a male, to a boy?
Mm.
And we said before that the Lahazik Dolim Alaktanim, that the Kohen, the father, is responsible to make sure his small child doesn't become Tomei.
Right.
So the general accepted practice is that the mother tries to leave the hospital ASAP. If she gives wife of a Kohen gives birth to a boy, so the father has an obligation to that his child should avoid becoming Tomei. So if they're in a hospital, as soon as the child is able to leave the hospital, they make sure the child leaves the hospital ASAP.
Okay.
Okay?
That makes sense. Yes.
Okay.
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 So he should not become impure in his people. It says, Be'od shehamet b'toch hamav yatsa met mitzvah. Okay. So
Rashi is explaining that the word ba'amov is telling you that normally a Kohen is not allowed to make himself Tomei for any person, as we're going to see in the next pasuk. Next, pasuk base and pasuk gimel, there are exceptions for relatives, but
right.
as a rule, a Kohen is not allowed to make himself Tomei for to come in contact or be in the same building as a corpse. Okay,
Right.
but this pasuk is telling you by adding the word ba'amov that there's certain situations where even a Kohen is allowed to become Tomei.
Uh-huh.
That's what he says. He mustn't make himself Tomei for a nefesh, for a being, a human being. Ba'amov, whilst he is the corpse is ba'amov, among his people. Okay,
Right.
which means there are other people available to bury this person. He's among his people. There are other people around. But if, let's say, the Kohen is traveling somewhere, and unfortunately he finds a corpse there, nobody else is around, and if he leaves it there, the corpse is going to, as for Sholem, decompose and be in a disgraceful state.
Mm-hmm.
So then the Kohen is allowed to become Tomei for this corpse, and he's got to make sure, not only that, he's allowed to, but he must make himself Tomei to take care of the burial of this person.
Okay.
Because there's nobody else taking care of it. So if there's nobody else taking care of the burial of this person, then the Kohen is obligated to do so.
Right.
That's what's called meis mitzvah. Meis mitzvah means that there's a meis, somebody who's a corpse, who nobody else is taking care of. There's no Chevra Kadisha around or anything like that. Then the Kohen, even if he's alone, there's nobody else taking care of the burial of this person, then he's obligated, not just he may, but he's obligated to take care of the burial of this person. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Little pasuk base.
Let's see. Ki im lish ero ha karov elav l'imo ula aviv the livno ula vito ula achiv, except for his relative who is closest to him, his mother, his father, his son, his daughter, and his brother.
Right.
And Rashi says,
Now we're going to see the sister is going to be discussed in the next passage. Okay.
okay, except for his relative, Ein she'ero ella ishto. The term she'ero, which is his relative, in this verse is none but his wife.
Right.
Oh,
Right. Even though technically she's not a blood relative, okay,
right.
in other words, since the Maisa, all other close relatives are mentioned explicitly over here, father, mother, son, daughter, brother, and the next pasuk sister. So Akocho She'eroi, which is coming to the Chayah, tell us another close relative, must be referring to his wife. Okay, that's basically how the Mefarshim explain it over here. Okay. Okay, weiter. Me'er Pasuk Gimel.
Okay. So he has to know it's his wife. Okay, even though it's a
So that's
master.
basically, that's what Chazal said. There's 7 relatives for whom a Kohen may make himself Tomei. So
Okay.
his wife, father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister.
Mhm.
And we see in the next pasuk, this pasuk Gimel is going to qualify that not under all circumstances may he make himself Tomei for his sister.
Oh,
Okay?
okay. Gimel. Okay, so it says V'la'achotav
Lachoto.
Lachoto Abitula Akrova Elav Asher Lo Haita Leish La Yitama. Okay, so to the virgin sister
Right.
who is close to him, okay, Asher Lo Haita, that there is no husband to her.
She has not become, she's not been to a man.
To a man,
Say that
okay,
literally.
not necessarily a husband, okay. La, for her, he can become Tame.
Right. And Rashi adds in not just he can, he may, but he must.
Oh, okay. So 3. Let's
Why
see.
is it redundant? It says a virgin, so I know she hasn't been with a man if she's a virgin.
It could be that even if he had relations with her, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay, so Rashi, Akrova, so the one that's close, L'rabot et Arusa. That is also an Arusa.
No, it means not just also. This includes
Includes.
what happens if a Kohen, his sister, gets engaged, was more than engaged, is betrothed to this man, and she is, as far as the Torah is concerned, what we mean by betrothed means he did kiddushin. He said Hare Ad Mekudeshesli,
Oh,
which means the Maisa, legally, she's already his wife. She's not allowed to marry anybody else. She's not allowed to have relations with anybody else for that matter. She's considered properly married to this man. She's a Nara Hama'irosa, right? She's a Murasis. She's betrothed. But she's not yet living with her husband.
Uh-huh.
So the Torah is telling us over here so he's saying, if such a sister, she's still called close to him because she's still living at home, right?
Right.
Even though she's been betrothed to somebody, he may make a Kohen make himself Tomei for such a sister.
Oh, okay.
If that sister dies, then he may make himself Tomei for her. Not only that, he must. Okay?
Uh-huh. Okay, so next one is Asher Lo Haita La'ish. So was not had a man. Okay. Lemishkav for relations. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so that further explains that. And then Lo Yitama shall not
No. Lo. For the head.
For her, he can't make himself tameh.
He can.
Oh, he can. Oh, okay.
Lo Yitamo. He can, not just can, that's what Rashi says, mitzvah.
Oh, it's a mitzvah to do it. Wow.
Yeah. And similarly, all the other 7 relatives, which a Kohen is allowed to make himself Tomei, he's not just allowed to, he must. I mean, if it's necessary for the burial and everything like that, he's got a mitzvah to make himself Tomei in order to take care of their burial.
Wow.
By the way, we learn from here, because the Torah made this exception for these 7 relatives, that these are the 7 relatives for whom a person mourns.
Oh,
Shalom, one of these 7 relatives dies. Any person, one of these 7 relatives of his dies, then he's got an obligation to keep the keep avelus, keep period of mourning for them. They're not all the same, because for a father and mother, the period of mourning is 12 months. And for the other relatives, i.e. for son or daughter, brother or sister, for a wife, then the period of mourning is 30 days.
So is that all you would say Kaddish for too? The 30 days?
No, so Kaddish is a separate thing. People mix these 2 things up. Kaddish, as far as the halacha is concerned, is an obligation only on a son for one of his parents. There's no Indian of saying Kaddish for a brother. There's no Indian saying Kaddish for a child.
Oh, really?
Unless the brother, sister, or the child, or whatever, son or daughter, has nobody else to say Kaddish for them. Then that's the exception. But the obligation for a child to say Kaddish, for somebody to say Kaddish, is only for a father or mother. Therefore, if somebody has a brother who passes away, and that brother has children,
okay,
and there's no Indian for the brother to say Kaddish. Because the brother's children will say Kaddish.
I hear.
But if there's no children, the brother says Kaddish for 12 months?
Well, yeah, that's also another point. You're saying, I'm also bringing up, I'm glad you brought that up. Kaddish should be said for 12 months. Okay? Now, however, when a son says Kaddish for his father or mother, the minhag is that they only say for 11 months. Why is that? Because the idea of Kaddish is not actually, we say Kaddish because of mourning. The idea of Kaddish is that it's of benefit to the deceased that he left a descendant who every day or whatever he says Kaddish, he sanctifies the Shem Hashem. So this is, and that does gives a benefit for the soul of the deceased. So you see, look, this person left children, and these children every day, whenever they say Kaddish, they are sanctifying my name. Okay, and Kilu, it's accredited to the deceased that this deceased left a relative, preferably a son or a son, right? Who is, when every opportunity that he has, he sanctifies the name of Hashem. By the way, Kaddish, right, is not a mournful prayer.
Right.
Right? Kaddish is sanctifying Hashem's name. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mavarach Le'olam Umeo Mayo. May the great name of Hashem should be blessed, recognized as the source of blessing forever and ever. That's basically what we say. That's the ik of the Kaddish. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mavarach Le'olam Umeo Mayo. Okay? Now, we give that opportunity to somebody who's lost a parent is because there's an inyan for the child of somebody who's deceased to sanctify the name of Hashem, and by so doing, he gives a benefit, he gives a schus for the deceased, that the deceased will now be accredited with the fact that his son, his or her son, said Kaddish and sanctified Hashem's name, and that gives a benefit for the deceased. That's why it's an inyan for a son to say Kaddish for his deceased parent. Okay? If unfortunately the deceased doesn't have children to say Kaddish, then there's an inyan for somebody else to say Kaddish, and preferably it should be a relative. It doesn't have to be a relative. So therefore, somebody, unfortunately, has a brother who passes away without children, then it's a nice thing that the brother says Kaddish, but it doesn't have to be. You can have somebody else say Kaddish for him as well. Okay?
Interesting.
The main thing is that it's a schus for the deceased that somebody is saying Kaddish on his behalf.
You were explaining about 12 months.
Oh, yeah, so 12 months and now. The first 12 months after a person passes away that's when, if chas v'shalom, a person has done Aveirus, where he's chayav to go to Gehenna, right? Then that period of punishment is 12 months. Maximum, should we say, maximum of 12 months. So therefore, that's why it's in special inyan then, in those first 12 months after the person has passed away, that the son or anybody else says Kaddish, and that provides a special merit for the deceased to save him from Gehenna. Okay? Now, the minhag is that when a son says Kaddish for his father, in order that there shouldn't be, he shouldn't, by the fact he's saying it for 12 months, is if he's saying, you know, my father was such a Rasha, he had to go to Gehenna for 12 months. And therefore, that's why I'm saying Kaddish for 12 months. So the minhag is that he doesn't say for the full 12 months, he just says for 11 months. That's the minhag by Ashkenazim. The Sfaradim say actually for a little longer. Oh, no, sorry, they also say for 11 months, and then they stop for a week and then continue to say. The minhag by Ashkenazim is that they stop after 11 months, and then they don't say Kaddish anymore.
That's interesting.
The idea is, out of respect for the father or mother, not to be consider them absolute Rishoyim, that they would have to go to Gehenna for 12 months. Okay?
Wow.
Okay, let's see. Pasuk Dalet. We can make a start on Pasuk Dalet. Lou.
Lo yitama ba'al be'amav le'hei chalo. Wow, it's a short pasuk. He shall not become tamei. The husband shall not become tamei with his people to defile himself.
Okay.
The hate.
Now this is the notion over here, the expression over here sounds very ambiguous, cryptic, what exactly he was referring to. So that's where we need a bit of Rashi over here to explain what it means.
Okay, so a husband among his people shall not make himself impure to defile him. Lo yitama, he shall not make himself impure. Le ishto besula, for his unfitting wife, for his wife who is puzzle.
Right.
Shehu mechulal ba, through whom he is defiled.
No, profaned, right?
Profane, mechulal, be'oda imo, while she is with him.
As long as she's still married to him, so he's forbidden to marry her. He shouldn't marry her. Let's say, give an example. A Kohen marries, he's not allowed to marry a divorcee, a woman who's a grusha.
Right.
Okay? He's not allowed to marry a grusha. Now, if he does marry a grusha, the marriage is valid, which means the marriage stands, but he's got an obligation to divorce her. So this woman, let's say a Kohen, unfortunately did marry a divorcee, a divorced woman, and she died. So the Pasuk is telling you over here, even though he's her husband and he's a Kohen, so Kohen would normally be allowed to make himself Tomei for his deceased wife. But in this particular case, since she was a grusha, he's not allowed to make himself Tomei for her. Because she causes him to be profaned. Because since he wasn't allowed to marry her, and he did marry her, that profanes him from being a Kohen, as long as he's married to her. So therefore, the Pasuk is telling you over here that in such a situation, even though a Kohen may marry his wife, so may make himself Tomei for his deceased wife, but in this particular situation where she's a woman who he was not allowed to marry, then he's not allowed to